end is what maybe is standing out most, like getting the process of getting volunteers and having enough and knowing who's been taken and who's been committed already and who's not, who's available. Like, we could have used more volunteers, like a third person in a lot of classes, especially the large ones. Have an extra person just for, you know, issues and emergencies. So,
Okay.
yeah, like what we sent out to everybody was good. If there was another way of, 'cause I referred to it to get some extra volunteers, but there was no way for me to know who was already signed up for something. So maybe if we added and everyone had shared access, and when they got a volunteer, they could put in there where they're volunteering already. Do we know who's been taken?
Well, yeah, that's a great. I definitely think everyone feels that tension of getting volunteers. Um, I mean, just to say, like, celebration is just, it's like one major. So, like, on the front end, you're like, okay, everybody got to sign up, everybody got to sign up, everybody got to sign up. And then you're like, everybody's going to pay, everybody's going to pay, everybody's going to pay. And then you're like, everybody's got to volunteer, everybody's got to volunteer. And so I think probably on that, maybe a to-do item, because it's a local church thing. It's not necessarily, because we're all kind of pitching in as local churches. But maybe one of the churches can kind of figure out like a best practices on how to get volunteers, how to make that work, and then share it with all of us. Okay, Gail, what about you?
The registration was rough this year, knowing where to get to the classrooms and doing that. Also, we had a problem with the teachers. I know I let my junior kids zone. The teachers have, because of our security, we have 2 people per room. And if they had a child that they had to get into class, that was hard on some of them. I let my teachers know that, but I don't know if the 1st through 5th grade knew that. So we were letting one teacher stay and the other ones were checking in their kids. So we kind of got to work through the security thing a little bit better. Bathroom situations with our kids are harder too. If we have 2 teachers that are females, or mainly are the females, or 1 female and 1 male, because you want to have 2 people in the bathrooms with the kids. So what we did is I just stood at the door. The security guy was out. I left the door open. My girls went in. But if I would have had to go in to help him, the door would have shut, and then I would have been the only one in the thing. So I don't know how we want to do that. I know it's been recommended to have females on the security team too, but that's a whole new ball game. So for me, the security issue is a little hard with those 2-person. You always have to have 2 people on the wall.
You mean like you feel like our security is too restrictive?
No, I'm just trying to think of how do we work it out where we can do that with the issues that we still have.
What if
Like
the kids? What if the kids just held it?
Yeah, try.
Can we just give them like pull-ups or something to wear?
Well, yeah, try. I had one little girl, we went to the bathroom, she came in, drank a whole bunch of water, and she had to go back out again. It's like, don't do this to me.
That sounds like our elders meeting.
So if we want to follow through on that 2-person rule, then we're going to have to think of some creative ways to work that out. And I don't know how that is going to work.
That's good. That's good. So what didn't go well, Gail?
Oh, those were the things that didn't go well. I already told you what I thought went good. I thought my kids zone area was good for my kids. I had enough space. It worked out really good. My teachers were good. I thought all that was.
I know. I'm just messing with you.
I know.
I
Well,
tried to volunteer to be on security, but I don't think I met the height requirement. I mean, Bonnie Evans and I, we asked Dan if we could be on the security, and he just kind of laughed at us.
oh,
That wasn't very nice.
I think it was because our height. I don't think that we were intimidating enough.
So, you're pretty intimidating, Bree.
I try.
Who's up next?
Okay, Joplin.
Well, I think as far as good stuff, we had plenty of space this year, and that was nice. Our 35 to 38, however many we ended up having, there were 38 kids there. Our 38 kids had room to play and wear themselves out, which was good. And we had 2 separate spaces for play and then one that was kind of more for crafts and worship and lesson. And so that was nice to separate those two so that we didn't have kids running back and forth the whole time.
But if it were cheaper, I mean, we could have done just the one big room.
Yeah, we could have done the one big room.
And so if that's I mean, even with that many kids, that one, the one room where we set up the bouncy houses is plenty big.
Yeah. I think I understand the reasoning behind allowing people to select an area of service or several areas of service when they register. But I think there are some particular concerns for child care workers when we do that, because we don't, if somebody from another church says, I want to work with 3 and 4-year-olds, we don't know that person. Like most of our workers, we run background checks on them before they're involved in children's ministry at all. We don't know how experienced they are or if they're good with kids, so if we should pair them up with a team that has plenty of strong members, or if they're a strong member who could kind of make up for someone who hasn't worked with kids very much. So when we had volunteers from other towns, it was hard to know how they fit into our team, or it was hard to know if we could trust them.
So you had volunteers from other churches?
We had a few from Washington, from the Jubilee Washington campus, and I think maybe.
Well, I will make sure that they never, ever volunteer to help you ever again.
Well, actually, it was the way the registration was set up.
No, I know. I'm just messing with you.
That it actually made things more difficult on this end to get our people to volunteer.
Because some of them thought, oh, well, didn't I sign up for something when I clicked all those boxes on the form? Well, not necessarily, because has anybody contacted you yet? Well, no. Well, I don't want to sign up unless I know for sure I'm not already signed up for something else. And then we had people whose spouses signed them up to help in 3s and 4s, not realizing they had also already signed up to be ushers or work as a book table or something like that. So it ended up being confusing because people weren't sure if they had already signed up when they registered for something, or if they needed to sign up again with their local church, or what. So I think it either needs to be sign-ups are administrated centrally, or they're done by local churches.
Not both.
But not both. It was confusing for our people.
Yeah, I think I added that this year to try to be helpful, and I think it was helpful for some people, but when you guys talked about that, I definitely thought, like, how it could be a hindrance, so, yeah, I think that needs to just be local.
Yeah. And I guess there might be people who don't normally serve because they don't like their church's area, and so maybe they think, well, I'm not really into kids, but I could do book table or ushering or something like that. We're just not in a position where we have a bunch of people who aren't already serving, who we don't already need in kids work who could do that.
Yeah, that was kind of the main thing for us, is that we really need every adult on board with the assignment that we've been given.
Yeah.
Okay.
And see, can I add another thing? Lynn brought up about background checks. Okay, is that something that we need to make sure that the teachers that are helping in our area have all had background checks? How should we work that?
Brian?
I don't know if he can hear. Can you hear?
Are you there? Can you hear me now?
Are you here?
I'll ask that.
I don't think you can.
I think he's going out on us.
I think, like, my understanding of that, Gail, is that each local church, like what Lynn and Mary were saying, they know who they're putting in their classes, and so if it's someone you know, and like either elder approved or that they've been in the church and you know that they're trustworthy, then that's fine. We've never required background checks.
If Adrienne does this, because she's doing this for our class, and I just need to make sure she has the okay with each of them or knows them, or what do you think on that?
Yeah, I think especially with the bigger churches like Jubilee, if you don't know who they are, then there needs to be a little investigation of, like, have they done a background check with Jubilee? Because if they're already a teacher at Jubilee, they've done one.
Yeah. Okay, I'll make sure our Adrienne knows that this year, so she's on top of that. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, because we have a lot of new members that they have not.
But then on top of that, so that was registration and kind of how that worked. But I also wanted to say that next year we will do 3s or 4s, not both. And the class is too big.
Yeah, we've definitely seen that. There needs to be a shift, I think, of we have too many babies and too many 3 and 4-year-olds, so kind of need to shift the classrooms around. But
Actually, all the classes in our class, we had 19 in the kindergarten, and second graders had 20 in other classes. So they were all pretty good.
Yeah. Well, there were 38 3 and 4-year-olds.
Yeah.
And
So about 20 each, right?
Yeah, it would, yeah. But it's also that with that age group, it's kind of intense taking care of them. I mean, I don't know if you can imagine a bathroom break where you help 23 little girls figure out, whether they need to go pee-pee or not. But it's a little hectic. So there's some concerns with these. Yeah, they're not all potty trained either. Some come in diapers, some come in pull-ups, and some tell you as they're going in their underwear. So it's not just a lot of kids; it's a lot of little kids.
Right, right.
And I feel that age in particular they're fairly fragile as far as they don't know anybody there, they don't know the children, they don't know the adults, they don't know the adult children, they're not sleeping in their own beds or eating in their own homes, and they're pretty wigged out when they come to class. And I want it to be a good experience. Last year our room was a lot smaller, and we had 2 kids that wouldn't even come in the classroom. Just because you open the door and they look in and it's just terrifying. It's like they've dropped in a blender. And yeah.
I think, and that's too. It's not just that it is kind of crazy for volunteers, and because we're in a position that we need so many, we have to ask everybody to jump in, not just people who are good with kids or who like working with kids. So you've got volunteers who aren't that crazy about where they are anyway, and then they have a really sometimes a bad experience because it's crazy in there, and they're pretty much convinced from that point on that they never want to work in kids ministry. And so that's part of it. And then what we were seeing for the kids, the bigger this class gets, the less we're able to connect with them and to teach them and to deposit something in them, and it just kind of becomes glorified babysitting, which is, I don't know, it's not that great. We'd like to make sure they have a really good experience too.
So you're saying the 3-year-old and 4-year-old would be 2 separate classes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, I think
Yeah,
20.
I agree, yeah.
I think it would also be a good idea maybe to put the 2 and the 3-year-olds together, because in the nursery, the 2-year-olds going on 3 tend to be a little bit more rougher than the 1-year-olds. Whereas I had 30 kids between the ages of 16 and 3 years old in a small, tiny room, and they were running all over each other with the little space that they did have. And I think that it would be good to put those 2 age groups together, and then maybe, even put the 4 and the 5-year-olds together with the pre-K, to where they could do educational. I have a 4-year-old who loves being in that room with the bounce house, but I think about that she was there and she didn't get anything out of it besides playing. Although she loves that bounce house and she loves getting her shirt and she loves getting her prizes.
Yeah.
But also, with you talking about the kids, like some of them being timid and not knowing anybody there, would it also be a good idea to open it up like the nursery is, where we have people from each church so that they can kind of identify with someone from their church in that session?
I think one distinction there is that we like to do and much playtime, I think. And so if you have people supervising playtime, then you don't necessarily need to get them together beforehand and prepare a session leader, let volunteers know what to expect, and give them an idea of the craft and the story they'll be working on that day. Whereas we do a lesson and try to gear up for that in advance and get a team prepared for that session. So that would be harder to do if it's a totally mixed bag of teachers. If that makes sense.
Hey guys.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys noticed or not, but I left the conversation for about 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah, we noticed. We were talking about you.
Yeah, we noticed. We were going to say, are you there? Can you hear us? But we reframed.
God hears you. So you don't need to recount what I missed, but if you could just tell me, like, just give me the headline of what you guys are talking about.
Let's split up 3s and 4s. We'll take one.
I'm not looking for less work necessarily. I do feel that the level that as many volunteers as we have to come up with, and by we I mean Lynn. We had 88 adults attended this year, and 77 served.
70 of those were in child care, and then 7 in other capacities in the conference. Bookstore, ushers.
So the kernel of the issue here is making sure that we are paying attention to the kid-adult ratio,
right,
in terms of volunteers, in terms of classes, because the reality is, I mean, it may still be the case next year. I don't think we have to get too specific, because I mean, 3s and 4s, whether it's next year or the year after, could be like half as big, and like it's the kindergarten class next year that's like 60, it's like massively big. I mean, I know in Jubilee, our entire kid program is growing, but like 2 years ago, we had like a half dozen 3rd through 5th, and the nursery had like 20 or 30 babies in there. Yeah. And now our 3rd through 5th has like 20 or 30 kids, and the nursery is non-existent. And so I think what's important, and that's what I'm saying, it may not be, is when we should have another conversation, say, I don't know when it would be, if it's November or December or whenever these things start to take shape, and say, I mean, it's not hard to predict what the class size is going to be, because we can look at well, how many 4-year-olds did we have last year? That's how many 5-year-olds we'll have this year. We can look at that and make sure that the class sizes are the right size, and that we're not overloading one church with responsibility, because there's no doubt about it, Joplin. I mean, especially in the area of kids. I mean, there's no question that you took on a much bigger weight than any of the other churches did.
Yeah, I don't mind us taking on a big chunk. I want to make sure that the chunk we're taking is actually that we could take it responsibly and do it.
No, I understand. I understand.
And it's been at least 20 years that we've had this job. That we've had this area, and it has been. I mean, it would be easy to go back maybe and look at past registrations, but yeah, it's been nothing but growing. It hasn't been under 20
right
for a long time, and it was crowded at 25, 26, 27, 28, and that was buku years ago. And
right.
So I'm not. I mean, last year I was kind of happy to say this class is getting big. I think we need to separate it and kind of wait and see what happens with registration this year. This year, I'm saying we will do 3 4-4s, not more.
Sure.
I told Tim I didn't intend to make a case for it. I just intended to state we will do 3 4-4s, not both.
Right. So yeah, I mean, I think that making sure that we have good class size is something that we need to address before next year. No doubt about it. What I'm saying, I guess all I'm saying is, like, I think addressing it now may or may not be helpful.
Why?
Why?
I think because
that?
I've looked at I was wondering why you were thinking that, because I've looked at all my classes from pre-K on. All of them have gained. All of us have gained. So we're just going to push, all of them are just going to be that big. They run, the smallest was 11. Most of them run from 15 to 20. So I don't think if we wait, there'll be a little bit of difference. I think for me, I would think you have to go in.
I'm not saying wait until next April.
No, I'm not even saying that. I'm saying we've got an issue. I think we have an issue, and that grade needs to be separated.
Well,
now,
sure.
How we can do that?
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm not saying we may have a problem or we may not have problems. I'm agreeing that it's very clear, I think especially in the Joplin case study, that classroom in particular needs to be addressed. And I'm saying we will address it. What I'm saying is, like, I don't know that solving that problem right now, like, okay, then what do we do? Like, I'm saying let's look at it. Let's try to reconfigure it, but just not reconfigure it, on June 25th. That's all. So I'm saying let's reconfigure it, but just not right this second.
Sure.
Bree, did you have thoughts? No, you haven't.
Yeah. So I had 45 kids total between newborn and 3 years of age. I had 14 in the nursery, so 0 to 14 months, and then 30 in the other class. It was really good. I got a lot of volunteers from a lot of churches. I had a lot of issues with getting some churches to even give a volunteer. That was probably my biggest struggle, besides the size of the rooms. Like I said before, I had 30 kids in a tiny little room that had no room to run and get energy out, or to even really play with any of the toys that were down there. The bathroom location for my kids was bad. The volunteers had to take them down a couple hallways and up a couple flights of stairs. Besides that, the security was really good. They were really strict with who they would even let into the hallway. But we had a really good number of volunteers. I actually reached out to the churches and asked for teenagers because I was getting down to the point to where I couldn't keep the 3-to-1 ratio for any of my kids.
So, you actually had kids who needed to go to the restroom in your classes?
I'm sorry, do what?
You had kids that you needed to take to the bathroom in your classes?
Yes. So I have kids on their name tags. I have 2-year-olds that were potty trained. Out of the 30, I think I had about 5 that were potty trained that needed to go upstairs to go to the bathrooms. But that was really about it. Usually there's a lot more kids than that need to go up to the bathrooms.
I think we should make a policy. Well, it'd solve a lot of problems if we made a policy that parents can't give their kids anything to drink 3 hours before class starts. I mean, it just seemed, I don't know. But then maybe they would get dehydrated. And
Send them good and dehydrated. We'll give them an IV if they need it. Yeah.
What's that?
I said we'll give them an IV if they need it.
Exactly.
Should we just make diapers? Can we make diapers a requirement up to the age of 10?
A little girl who asked he was in the bathroom a long time, and Lynn, she said, are you okay? Do you need me help?
And she said, I just need you to squeeze my butt cheeks.
Oh, I know that was not my child. That's
if I had a dime for every time I heard that.
Yeah.
Just to check for more poop.
Yeah. I told her I couldn't do that. There were laws about growing up, and that she could ask her mom to do that later.
Yeah, I think that's
hey, when if you guys do testimonies in front of your churches about celebration, you definitely have to share that. Yeah. I think I may share that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of the things I look forward to at celebration. No. Good conversation every year.
Was there any issue not addressed that or somebody thought of as we've been talking?
Would it be possible to, I know like Renee made maps and gave it out to us, but I mean, I seem to have a lot of parents that were lost, and the nursery was on the opposite side as the rest of the kids. And I had a lot of parents that brought their kids down to me. Would it be possible to give parents out a map of locations, maybe like whenever you send out the Hey Celebrations Coming Up email?
I could try to do that. I mean, we give everyone a booklet that has all that information in it when they check in, but people don't read it, so... I mean, there was a map and there was a description for each classroom in the booklet that says this is where your classroom is, where the map is. And
did you have it labeled like the, Laura had?
I didn't label it because some of the rooms were still up in the air, but
okay.
The kids zone wasn't in there, but like nursery and 3- and 4-year-olds there was a description for those classes saying this is what classroom you're kids are in. So.
Because I was wondering even if we could just have the maps for registration when they were registering the kids. We could just
that's a good idea.
And something else I was thinking was it was really complicated, like trying to direct parents to where they should check their kids in. So we're like, well, if you have a 8-year-old, go here. If you have a 4-year-old, go here. If you have a kindergarten through, then go here. So I didn't know if it was possible to do like a universal check-in system, and then they go to their classroom. Because like, especially parents with 4 kids and 3 different areas, they're like running all over the place.
Yeah, I can hear you, Renee, very good. You were thinking more doing it in the classrooms then?
What's that?
No,
what were you thinking?
Oh, I was thinking like,
yeah,
the lobby and into 0 through whatever. I don't know how that goes.
So that's what we've done with this, right? Except for nursery.
It's always been
Okay, so hey guys, so the check-in system is a problem.
Yeah.
Nursery.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me just review this. What we've discovered are issues, and then maybe we can like have assignments in terms of like maybe solve some of these problems, and then we can come back in a couple of months or whenever we feel like it's a good time to come back to address it. So a big problem for sure is just the whole volunteer process. You know, first of all, making sure that it's local church driven. It's not, we're not going back and forth between central and a centralized system and then local churches. I think it should be local churches, but but somebody needs to come up with, somebody needs to have some kind of a eureka moment on like what's the best way on a local church setting to get volunteers. And so that's something we need to address. The kid classrooms, excuse me, the class sizes are becoming an issue, and making sure that is good. So maybe Renee, what would be helpful is to have some like numbers from each of the classes this year. If there's any way we could go back in time just to see if there's any kind of a trend, that would help. But
I have all the ones for junior kids zone on that. I have the numbers for junior kids zone on to 5th grade. I have all those numbers from the past.
Okay, great, awesome.
Can you send those to me, Gail? I can consolidate all that.
And then and what we'll do is before anything happens, we'll all meet together and say, hey, this is how the kids should, this is what we're estimating for kids. This would be a good way to break the classes down, and we'll make sure that everyone agrees that that's a good way to do it before anything happens. So I guarantee everyone will be super happy. Promise. Wait a minute, I don't point, I do this. I guarantee that everyone will be happy.
One thing to take into consideration, we're always growing, which is what we want. So the way we are now isn't necessarily going to be the way we are next year. Even as kids grow, I mean, we could get, 50 new families.
No, well, yeah.
No,
I know, but I think we're, for better or for worse, I think we are stable enough to where it won't be that challenging to predict. Unless, like you said, like if we adopted some big church, like if some church of 400 we adopted in next year, and they brought 200 kids, I mean, obviously that would change things. But anyway, yeah, I get it, but I think we'll do better than I think we'll at least be able to. We'll always have tension, but I think we'll be able to make it more manageable than it has been anyway. Volunteers, the kids' room were mixed, but I think that is I think the rooming situation, I guess I'm gonna have to. We'll do our. I know Renee will do her best on that. That's going to be challenging because of the temperamental nature of working with hotels. That's probably been the biggest challenge in moving away from Warrensburg is, they're sometimes they're great, sometimes they're really helpful, and sometimes they're not helpful. And they don't fully get us yet. Terra never got us, and I don't think Lake gets. They just think, oh yeah, you need rooms, and they all, from their perspective, they're just thinking we need to give you guys hotel rooms, and we're like, no, we don't really care about the hotel room. What we care about is we're trying to run a weekend, and so I think that that's part of the problem. And so I think now that we've been in that place, I'm sure. Renee, I'm sure wouldn't mind making a trip down to the lake and trying to make that better. So kid rooms, kid sizes, volunteers. We got to do something about kids have to go to the bathroom. Maybe we should bring in like a big porta potty or something.
That's what my husband just suggested.
A porta potty in every room.
That sounds disgusting.
No, I think with the security, I think maybe we can look into like some people just assigned, I don't know, almost to like take kids to the bathroom or something, or like.
I said earlier.
What's that?
I said that earlier.
Oh.
That was their whole job, is just bathroom.
Sure you did.
Grace had we had the first graders, and we had originally assigned 2 people to each room for each session, but we ended up with 4 people, mainly to calm down the storm of the first graders, but to take people to the bathroom. That's what they were there for.
Okay.
We had extra volunteers come in just to do that.
So we have to kind of solve that. We have to kind of work out that tension between security and practicality, and come up with a solution. Yeah. And then finally the check-in system. So Renee's going to go to work on just gathering some volunteer stats, and I think we'll all in the future, like, we'll have this conversation again. We'll all weigh in on how the kids should work. The big thing is coming up with a check-in system. Does anybody want to think through that?
Well, I can throw out for mine because I oversee the junior kids zone through the 5th. I've had some thoughts. We've been writing things down. I'll just, share them with you, Renee, and see your thoughts.
Okay.
So, but I mean, I don't do any of the younger ones, so I don't know anything about them.
Okay. Well, what about with the security issue? Is that just something that we? Well, why don't we do this? This is probably a better way. Instead of giving individual, why don't we all think about this stuff, and let's come back in a couple of months, and like just talk it through again. But this time, having each thought through some things, maybe even going back to some of our people and maybe getting some of their ideas, or trying to figure that out. What do you think about that?
Yeah. Sounds good.
Okay, so I will send out, or me or Renee will send out an email reminding you of what the things that we talked about, and I'll wait until we get all the statistics together. So we'll send that all one email, and then I'll throw out some dates for us to potentially have this conversation again, and then we'll just chat it through. How's that?
Yeah, that'd be good.
Awesome.
Well, and Laura Granger might have some ideas too.
She might.
Yeah. I've recorded this session, so I'm going to share it with Laura, and she can do brainstorming as well and be part of the next one.
Well, on that note, I just think Laura is just an amazing person. I was really bummed, sad that she couldn't be with us.
Yeah. She seemed to do a great job of overseeing everything. She was there all the time.
Yeah. Hey, now don't. Yeah.
Don't say anything bad, because she's going to hear this.
Hey, don't say anything bad. Thanks for the warning, Renee. Well, hey, thank you so much, ladies, for not just obviously making time for this phone call, but figuring out how to do Google Hangout, but for also, more importantly, like just all your efforts. I mean, I know it's just a ton of work. More than it's a ton of work, it's a ton of aggravation. I mean, I know you guys could put up with the kids and all the stuff that goes into that, but just all the organizational aggravation and like working, different churches do things different ways, and the miscommunication, all that. I really appreciate you guys enduring all that to get to it, because I think at the end of the day, I mean, God does a lot of great things. I mean, I'm sure you guys have heard stories from your own churches, but we've heard just amazing stories from our churches, just how people were encouraged and envisioned. So thank you so much for all that you do. It's super, super helpful.
Worth doing.
And please, please never, ever, ever quit, please.
I'm not quitting.
No, I wasn't looking at you, Mary. If you've
yes,
got
you were. Your big face is right up.
I'm looking at every. Let me explain to you how this works. I'm looking at everybody simultaneously. But if you have a guilty conscience, Mary, you can. I mean, that's between you and. That's between you and your pastor.
Yeah, well, my pastor was the one who kept showing me the emails or the messages saying, you know, when our volunteers are quitting, and I would say, tell him I'm not quitting.
I'm just messing with you. All right, guys.
It's worth doing, but it's worth doing well. And
yes.
we want to do well, and we want to plan for growth. And
yes.
And if we're stretched now, it's a great time to think about the next steps. So.
Yes.
And I didn't mean to give you a hard time, Brian. I just didn't want it to be where we just pushed it off, and then it was like, oh, what are we going to do about these 3- and 4-year-olds? So, we will
not push it off. We will not push it off.
Okay, good.
And we are now going to limit how many kids families can have to 2 kids.
Is that what you're doing?
They can't give them anything to drink for 3 hours, and they can only have. Actually, they can have as many kids as they want, but they only can check in 2. Well, wait, 3. Sorry, wait. I've got 3 kids. 3 kids. We're gonna do 3 kids.
Well, Christchurch is going to be like the biggest offender if you make that rule.
All right. Well, I'll see you guys.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.